Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the FMB channel. Right now, we're going to do a tactic called the mid-table underdog FM23 tactic. It is, as it says, a mid-level team. So what they did is they took West Ham to the Premier League top. They got number one. We're going to test it out with our three of Man City, Bournemouth, and Leeds. Bournemouth's scheduled to be dead last. Leeds right in the middle, and then Man City, of course, number one. So first, let's get into this tactic. As you can see, technically, I guess it is called Final Try. It is a custom control possession, attacking-minded type of 4-3-3-ish tactic. You have your sweeper keeper in back. You have your fullback in support on left and the right. You have your ball-playing defender on both the left and the right. You have a DM behind the midfielders of an advanced playmaker and a box-to-box midfielder. You've got your inverted winger on support. You have an attacking midfielder on attack. And you have a, there you go, poacher on attack. So that is the tactic, the main pieces. You do get that winger off into the more central areas. In possession, you have a fairly wide attacking width. You have approaching play is pass into space. You have overlap on the left and right. Standard passing directness, slightly higher tempo, never time waste. Work the ball into the box. Be more expressive and creative freedom. In transition, counter press, counter, and that is it. Out of possession, higher line of engagement, standard defensive line, prevent short goalkeeper distribution as pretty much everyone is doing. You trigger press much more often. You trap on the outside for the pressing trap, and that is it. That is your tactic right there. Now, how did our three teams do? Let's take a look. As you can see, it didn't work for the mid-level teams. Man City cruising to the second place position. It's funny how many tactic talks I've done, and Liverpool actually get the win when I'm playing as Man City. So, Man City with 85 points. Bournemouth kind of beat their expectations in 16th with 41 points. Leeds dropped all the way down into relegation zone with 26 points. Handily relegated along with Nottingham Forest. Brighton just missing that spot. So Bournemouth and Leeds, definitely this is not the tactic for you. Mid-level for West Ham, maybe. Mid-level for Leeds, not so much. Again, anything could have happened during this save. I am simming throughout the entire season. I am not playing a single game. So if you're in charge, you can definitely deal with the squad better. You can deal with how the squad fits into the tactic better. So hopefully you would do better than just simming through. However, as a sim and as my assistant manager took care of everything, not so much. So diving deep down into it, Man City had 7 losses. 2 against Liverpool, 2 against Brentford, interesting enough. But 27 wins, 4 draws, 7 losses. Bournemouth, on the other hand, 11 wins, 8 draws, 19 losses. And then Leeds 6, 8, and 24. If we go into Man City's... Am I in Man City? Yep. If we go into Man City's schedule, you can see it is fairly much a sea of green. Immediately losing out to Liverpool, though, in the FA Community Shield. So we know that's one thing they're completely out of. But pretty much a sea of green with a scattered bit of red here and there. I mean, the period from, January 25th all the way down to Brentford on April 1st. That is an April Fool's Day for them. However, FA Cup and Champions League final, we have not gotten there yet. So you can see they are scheduled possibly for some trophies this season. We'll see how they do against these two teams. But before I get into that, let's take a look at let's take a look at Leeds. Schedule-wise, oh wow. That is awful. They've had 1 win against Bournemouth, 2 against Nottingham Forest and Chelsea, and a sea of red all the way down through January and even beyond. That is crazy talk. Look at all that red, some yellows, and some even less greens in there. And if we look at Bournemouth, slightly better, but not much. You have a lot more yellows in the first half. Then you pick it up with the reds. But they did get farther in the FA Cup. At 4th round they won. 5th round they won. Quarterfinals, they lost to Chelsea in the semis. So I'll get to that list in a bit. But overall, not too great. But if we start stacking them up against Leeds, losing 1-5 in the Premier League away from home, losing Man City 0-4 away from home, and then Leeds again drawing at home 1-1, and then finishing out the season against Man City at home, a 3-0 win. Very nice job with finishing out the season. If we go to Man City, you can see back against everyone. Bournemouth 0-3, there's your loss right there. Leeds United 7-1 win at home, 5-1 away from home, and then Bournemouth 4-0 at home. Absolutely insane. So, I mean, but again, Man City you would expect to cruise on things like this. I would definitely say so far, none of these teams I would really use this tactic for. It, again, unless you're West Ham, it's always going to depend on the coaches. The squad you have may definitely not be geared towards this, and I'm not doing any transfers, so that definitely doesn't help much. But let's skip ahead until the end of the season for Man City and see how they do. So we finally got to June 11th, the day after the Champions League final. So let's first take a look at Bournemouth's competitions. You can see, again, dropped down or actually picked it up to 16th for them. Emirates Cup, they were knocked out in the semifinals by Chelsea, so actually really good for them. Carabao Cup, knocked out in the third round by Brighton and Hove Albion. Not so good for that one. Leeds, if you go to the competitions, again, relegated in 19th spot with 26 points. Absolutely horrific. Knocked out in the third round by Brighton and Hove Albion. And then Carabao Cup, knocked out in the second round by Newcastle United. But now, this is what we're looking for. Man City, competitions, runners up in the Champions League final. They lost to Real Madrid. Emirates FA Cup, they won. Carabao Cup, they won. Community Shield, they were runners up. And then came in runners up against Liverpool in the Premier League. So, 2 trophies this season, not too bad. Beating Chelsea here, Carabao Cup beating Chelsea there as well. 2 trophies is not a bad season for Man City. Obviously, the Premier League you would have liked to have seen more. If you were taking control with Man City, you probably could have gotten them at least first place here in the Premier League. Champions League maybe. How did they lose? How much? 1-0. So not too bad at all. Tough match, but still, you could have come away with a whopping 5 trophies if you wanted to. But in this save, since I'm not doing a thing and no transfers are coming in, they are only limited to 2. So if we look at the player stats here, you can see Haaland with 48 whopping goals. That is one of the highest I've seen, probably in the top 3 or 4. Haaland with 8.05 average rating. Absolutely insane. No assist leaders here and for all 3 teams. Yellow cards, though, we have Man City Smith with 16, João Cancelo and Kyle Walker on Man City with 15 and 13. And then player of the match, as you would expect, Haaland with 15. So anyone in the top, there you go. Dominic Solanke at 8th with 15 goals. Then Patrick Bamford with 14 goals. So, and then Ryan Christie all the way in 20th with 11 goals. Now, last before we leave, Premier League stats, how did they do? Most goals, 103. I have definitely seen them on other tactics with a hell of a lot more. Man U with 90, Liverpool with 85, Brentford with 62. Interesting. Most points in a game, Man City 2.24 to Liverpool's 2.37. No other teams in there. Most shots, Man City. So while it is an attacking mentality, you are not seeing Leeds or Bournemouth in this group like we have been in the past. Fewest shots against, 345 for Man City. Most possession, Man City 5th with 54%. Best pass completion, not even in the list, the top 8 list. Most tackles won, Bournemouth, there you go, 807. Leeds at 848. So obviously having to do a lot more defensive work than attacking work, apparently. Most dribbles made, Man City with 671. Fewest conceded, 36. And then most shutouts, wow, Liverpool with 22 out of 38 matches. Man City only with 13. That is pretty crazy. Yellow cards, though, Man City with 91, Leeds in 5th with 83, and Bournemouth in 6th with 80. So definitely card heavy. Leeds tied with 4th with 4 red cards, Bournemouth with only 1, and Man City with only 1. So not too bad on the red cards, but the yellows are definitely up there. Bournemouth, as you can see, goals-wise, 11th with 46. Leeds with in 14th with 43. Expected goals, 11.8 with Man City, 2.93 with Leeds. That is quite a drop. Defending-wise, we saw Man City with 36. Bournemouth with 56 and 12th. Leeds dead last with 88. So overall, yeah, Bournemouth and Leeds dead last in, what is it, shots against with 635. They did not do great with this tactic at all. But overall, that is the final try tactic, a 4-3-3 that has an interesting take. You're moving one winger centrally and not really doing it for the mid-level teams or the bottom of the league teams. So I think what I want to try next is some of these tactics in the lower leagues, like the Vanarama and all that, and see how some of these teams do. Now that we're getting some questions about how are the lower level teams going to be dealing with some of these tactics. So I might stop with the 3 teams here, or I might take a top level team or a mid-level team in each of the different levels of the English league and see how they work. But that is it for me. I am Sapien FM for the Football Manager blog channel. This is the final try tactic. It's not one that I would probably take a look at again, unless you're West Ham. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. As always, take care and enjoy.